Welcome back, boxing fans, to another great show on Sean on Boxing. Obviously, by the name, we're going to be looking at pound for pound lists. And this is always a very controversial topic. But the reality is, it doesn't really matter what other people's opinions are. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, whether you agree or disagree. The thing that really comes up in conversation when we talk about pound for pound are the reasons people are putting people on lists. Is it just fanboyism, that people look like you, that they come from the same country or you, or are you breaking things down based on literally what they're doing in the ring? Many people love to use the pound for pound list as a career accomplishment type of thing. But that's not what pound for pound is. This isn't the all-time Hall of Fame thing. This is, what are you doing now, currently? Obviously, what you've done previously follows up on that, and it all levels up. But the reality is, if you're not doing anything today, but you were the best fighter 5 years ago, you're not going to be on anyone's pound for pound list because you're irrelevant, right? Relevance is important. Other people, of course, have other categories that they put people on their pound for pound lists. Whatever that may be, everybody has their own sort of examples. We're going to look at a bit of that coming up, and I'm going to give you my pound for pound list as well. Feel free in the comment section later on in this video to leave your pound for pound list here, and what are your criteria for making a pound for pound list? Because a lot of people are very critical of pound for pound lists. You have pound for pound lists like Top Rank and Ring Magazine that have a panel of media people who have their own lists. Points are given for fighters that are ranked in positions. Those points are tallied, and based on the tally of points, fighters are then listed on the overall list. A very fair way to do things, and a very, very American way of doing things, right? Go by the vote, go by populist opinion. That's what these lists like Ring Magazine are. They're literally populist opinions. If you disagree with it, you're going against really the majority of people, because it's really a populist opinion vote, right? Whereas you're obviously that 20% Democratic vote on fucking transgendered men playing in women's sports, right? You're strong on a topic, but unfortunately, no matter how loud you scream and kick, the majority disagrees with you. And that's what these lists come down to. Then you have BoxRec type of list, which is obviously created by some computer system. So sometimes you get the most outrageous example of a list, and we'll look at that as well. But feel free to jump in, join the chat after this short message. Welcome back. Jaime, what's up? Machado, Iceman, welcome. So right now I'm watching the DAZN card, Ortiz versus Alamo. This is a quality fight, right? It's funny that a lot of people didn't even talk about this card as well. This is the thing. When I point out these American YouTube channels that are boxing channels, yet for some reason they don't talk about any boxing, right? You have this card where, of course, people critical of Berlanga fighting a bum-ass opponent and then saying a bunch of stupid shit in the lead up. But there's a lot of other fighters on this card too. Example, Ortiz and Alamo. Ortiz is a guy that's just on the threshold of potentially getting another world title fight, right? And this was a very good opponent for him on not the best card, but as boxing fans, not every card is going to be, a fight of the century card. You're going to get a lot of cards like this that potentially can still entertain. So far, this fight's been very good. I think that Alamo stylistically has really sort of forced Ortiz to be more aggressive and really bring it. So it's been a good fight, even though I've only watched 3 rounds of it. But obviously, the rest of you have already seen this card. I woke up this morning, walked the dog, and was watching NCAA basketball. Duke versus who? Who was Duke playing? My brain is shut down. I can't remember who Duke beat, but Duke beat someone to win the ACC tournament. So that's what I was watching. Mexican boxing, told you Sergio Mendoza stops your favorite fighter at 112 pounds, Sean. who's my favorite fighter at 112 pounds? And who's Sergio Mendoza? Because apparently he's never stopped anyone yet because nobody knows who he is. Hello Ninja, what's up? He looked impressive again. Why do you think they're ducking him? Ducking who? Louisville. No. Yes. Louisville, you're right. I never really think of Louisville as a ACC team. So, with all this crossover because of football, they've changed these divisions, and it kind of confuses me because when I think of Louisville, I definitely do not think ACC. Uh, but you're right. Louisville beat Clemson to get into the final against Duke, who obviously beat North Carolina. You see the Nick Ball TJ Dahoney fight. I didn't watch it. I'll watch it later. Obviously, that's when I was sleeping this morning. But it's no surprise. In my prediction league, what were my predictions for this week? Let's take a quick peek while we're all here. Dahoney Ball. So I had Nick Ball winning by 11th round TKO, off by 1 round. Had Amo Williams winning, Berlanga winning, Hackett, and Ortiz by majority decision. So those were my big fights that I listed. Thurman by majority decision. I should have voted for him to stop that guy. Kenshiro by 9th round TKO, wasn't off by that much. Olaskago, Awata, well, that was a surprise. But, you get them, you get some right, you get some wrong. That might make me slide out of the top 10 in the prediction league, which would be terrible. They have been through a lot of conferences. Yeah, that shit's crazy, right? Because the whole point in any sport is rivalry. And unfortunately, when you have teams moved into these new conferences, you're ruining the whole concept of rivalry, right? And I don't understand why they did it, the NCAA, because you lose the historical rivalries that have taken decades to sort of create, and now you can still play those games, so those teams, in preseason type of games, but it's not nearly as impactful, right? You're not going to meet in any tournament finals or anything else. But let's get to boxing. Sorry. Obviously, March Madness is just around the corner. So me being a huge college basketball fan, I'm super stoked. So I've been watching a lot of that today. Berlanga quickly stopped that ice cream truck driver. Well, no surprise. The only surprise really with that was Berlanga coming in fat, right? Complaining and moaning that he wasn't given a better opponent, even though these dudes, man, that's the problem with athletes. Like, I don't know if you guys watch baseball, but Guerrero, if you remember Guerrero's father, who was a great player for the Montreal Expos, Guerrero plays for the Blue Jays and was just offered $500 million contract to the Jays, right? The Jays putting their money where their mouth is, trying to keep great players on the team, which is what you need to do. You don't want to be like the Expos, who consistently lost every great player that they developed and ended up having them go to American teams. But he came out and just these players are so entitled. They just expect and assume that they're going to be given everything in front of them. And this is no difference for boxing, right? This is what we were talking about yesterday with that whole, all the black fighters are being made villains by the media, right? John Boxing, I saw, made some response, throwing 3 different videos into one video, which made no sense at all. Bringing up Ken Shiro, which had nothing to do with the whole villain situation, and then bringing up the villain situation, and then pound for pound with Inouye and Bud Crawford, saying, why am I comparing Inouye to Bud Crawford? Well, I'm comparing those two because you have such an issue with Inouye being ranked above Crawford. That's why I made it in a completely different video. But these dudes are mental. It's this villain versus victim mentality, right? I would rather praise dudes who want to be villains because at least they're marketing themselves and trying to be the boss, as opposed to being the victim, which is what John would prefer Black Americans to be. Not me. I'm not making Black Americans into victims. I'm not making them into villains. Right? Every individual is different. You got some victims, some villains, some heroes. And this is across the board with all of them. But these dudes, man, mental. Like Berlanga. Is Berlanga seen as a hero? I don't even think he's seen as a hero by Puerto Ricans. But you know, guys like JB and Dante and these guys who are ultimately racist. They fucking complain when they get called racist, but everything they do shows you that they're racially fucking biased. John, on multiple occasions, said that blacks were superior to whites. That's the epitome of racism. You have never, ever heard me make a fucking statement like that, ever. JD, what's up? Matone, peace. Adone says Crawford should go down at least one spot on the pound for pound list. Dude is not active enough. And that's what I stated. On my list, he's still number 2 behind Usyk. But what I stated is why some people may feel Inouye is over him. And that's because Crawford, for the last 4 years in a row, has fought once a year. When you're fighting so infrequently, you're going to be punished for it. That's just the way it is, because the other fighters are doing far more than you are. By fighting twice a year, they're fighting twice as much as you are, accomplishing twice as much as you are. When Inouye's almost accomplished, you know, stat-wise and accomplishment-wise, the exact same things Bud Crawford has done, but yet is 6 years younger, that tells you a lot. Because if Crawford had fought twice a year in the last 4 years, he potentially would have created even more of a legacy at this point of his career. And that's what this comes down to. What are you doing, right? But we'll talk about that more in today's video, because obviously we're looking at pound for pound. Hollow Ninja, thank you very much. Everyone is entitled to their opinion. I respect that. But you can clearly tell me an individual has a pound for pound list based on race, hate, and malice. Some clown has Boots number 2 on the pound for pound list. Yeah, and that's my whole point. When you look at a lot of these channels, we'll be looking at BFTBs today. Thank you for one of my subs who pointed out that he was doing that, because otherwise I wouldn't even have known. I checked out his video and saw his listings. And in general, as I state, the top 15 fighters in boxing are pretty much the top 15 fighters in boxing. You can maneuver 10 of them into the top 10, and obviously some people are going to get in their feelings over that. But if you can justify it, then people shouldn't really complain too much about it. But if it's only based on looking like you, or coming from the same country as you, or promoted by a promoter you like, you're going to be fucking harshly criticized based on that being the judge for making your pound for pound list. Sal says, John has talking shit about Nakatani being placed in the pound for pound list over Shakur. And I addressed that in a video, specifically looking at both of them compared to each other. Both 3-weight world champions. Nakatani has fought more world champions. He's defended his titles more. He's just done more, outside, of course, of the fact that Shakur has unified titles at 130. But we expect that Nakatani is going to unify titles at bantamweight this year. So then there's going to be nothing that Shakur Stevens has done more so than Nakatani. And they're both the same age, right? And you want to talk about who you're fighting. Well, who the fuck has Shakur fought? The best fighter on his resume are the 2 fighters he fought at 130. 3, really. Kansakau, Valdez, and Jamal Herring. And while they're good fighters, and we know who they are because we've seen them a lot, because they're on American TV consistently, it doesn't mean they're better than the fighters that Junto fought, because you haven't watched them. This is just recency bias, right, from these kind of people. It depends on what region you're from. They're biased based on that. It's pure ignorance and stupidity, but what's to be expected? JD says, that was crazy, Iceman. The girl that assaulted her said that everyone thinking of the girl she assaulted, but nobody is thinking of her mental health. A clown world we're living in. Oh, yeah. Well, the fucking, yeah, you've seen the tracks runner hit the other girl because she passed her in the race. I saw that, and then I saw the girl, the perpetrator, literally cried racism. You're crying racism because there's video of you taking a baton and slamming it across the head of the girl who's smaller than you and faster than you and was going to beat you in the race. And all you could do was resort to violence at that moment. And that's assault. She's going to be charged. And this is a criminal offense. So the fact that now this is getting attention has nothing to do with you being black. It has everything to do with you assaulting another athlete, right? But it's always this victim mentality from some people. If it was a white girl that slammed the baton across a black girl's head, nobody would say anything. Oh, really? Really? If that was the case, there'd be a fucking statue of the girl that got fucking hit in the head. Right? Come on, let's be real. Okay, give me a break. Guys like JB clearly state that they don't watch the lighter weights, so they're admitting they just don't know. And that's what all these guys do. They admit they don't know shit about the smaller weight divisions, but yet then they're going to be critical. They also don't watch the bigger divisions either. They don't know anything about the majority of the cruiserweight fighters and the majority of the heavyweights outside of maybe 3 or 4. Berlanga, the killer, is back, man. I saw his opponent in the weigh-in, and it looks like he just walked out of the bathroom at McDonald's. I saw that. No accountability, undisciplined, immature. Well, that's it. And I understand she's a teenager, so you can understand her being undisciplined and immature, right? It's just a bad look because nowadays with social media, this incident that probably would have just been shown maybe on a local sports broadcast in that region is obviously now global, right? But the same reason people capitalize on this global opportunity to showcase themselves and make money off of social media is the same thing that's going to make you look like a complete fucking idiot across the world, right? And she can cry and moan about it, but she did it. And obviously she's young, so how much punishment can she really get outside of whatever the courts decide? I mean, after that point, maybe you can ban her from being a track athlete and just let her move on. But unfortunately, she did something and she's going to be held accountable because it's so obvious. Imagine if Tanya Harding, was it her or her boyfriend who fucking jumped Carrington? Imagine if that was caught on video, right? Like anything like this nowadays, it's going to get a huge amount of attention. It just is what it is. How often has that happened to where she felt she needed to do it in public? What do you think of Ball today? Ready for a newie? Garden Snake, thank you very much. To be fair, I think him fighting Dahoney, obviously they have now a mutual opponent. I think it helps build the fight up, makes it far more interesting. I would love to see that fight. The only thing that stops me from really pushing Inui to move to 126 to fight Ball is because I really want to see him fight Nakatani, right? And as a boxing fan, you could want either one of them. They're both great fights, but obviously the Nakatani fight in Japan is humongous, huge, unbelievable. Her boyfriend, yeah, sorry, it's so long ago. Who can remember? Sean, her parents are to blame. They are doubling down instead of teaching her a life lesson. I heard that, right? Again, victim, right? It's that whole victim mentality. You should just say, we're embarrassed that she did this. Obviously, this is not something that she should have done. We apologize to the girl and her parents because, this should never have happened. But let's be fair, people. She is young. People make mistakes. So, obviously, this is going to be something that she learns from and is going to stick with her for a long time now. So let's not go too deep on her. Let's not act like she just murdered somebody. They obviously wouldn't say that, but you know what I mean? Like, you got to take responsibility and you got to apologize for doing what you did. Tanya Harding was the first woman to do some triple axel thing on the ice. She was an ugly fucker. You are clueless about boxing, still defending Canelo, fighting bums the last 3 years. Huh? Are you talking about me, Mr. Mirage? Like right now, think about what a fucking idiot you sound like. Because the reality is we're not even talking about Canelo Alvarez right now. But you're so obsessed with Canelo Alvarez that literally you need to jump on any video, regardless of what it's talking about, and fucking put up these stupid fucking kind of statements. I have Canelo, I think currently number 6 on my pound for pound list. He's obviously dropped from number 1 after losing to Bivol and consistently dropped down to number 6. So I don't know what's up your ass. except probably fucking a PBC fanboy, penis. But nonetheless, okay, nobody's surprised that you are coming on this video fucking talking out your ass, because that's generally what you do. Let's try sticking to the topic at hand. I heard tickets are almost sold out for the Nui fight. People going to get so in their feelings because all they do is they really want. Did he duck Benavidez? No. Did Benavidez force the WBC to mandate the fight? No. Let's use complete facts. This is the same David Benavidez that could have pushed the WBC but didn't. The same David Benavidez that said, I'm no longer interested in Canelo Alvarez. I'm moving to 175. But I'm still going to mention Canelo Alvarez fucking every time before I fight somebody. Come on, man. Like, you can hate Canelo, but don't dick ride David Benavidez, because that's a bad look. Because when he gets beat by fucking Bivol, how stupid are you going to seem? Inui takes out 126-2, but I like the Nakatani fight better. Mirage, gonna spank you, laugh out loud. They came out of the movie on Tanya Harding. It was pretty good. I forgot she turned boxer later in life. I remember. Yeah. Where are we? Yes, you. He duck Junto and Inui in Japan? They would need 3 Tokyo domes to hold the people. That's true. Canelo lives rent-free in his head. Completely rent-free. Canelo fucking doesn't really care what any dumbass like this guy has to say. He's fucking making hundreds of millions of dollars. Whereas David Benavidez is fucking hoping to suck Canelo Alvarez's cock to make fucking 20 million. See, you fanboy, no fighter can force the WBC to do anything. They protect Canelo. So now instead of going through the protocol, you're going to fucking cry and moan and fucking use conspiracy theory. Oh, okay. Even though now the WBC just fucking ordered him a fight with Bivol. Bivol won't fight Benavidez. He will drop the belt next month. Well, the reality is Benavidez ain't interested in fighting Bivol. They're praying to God that the WBC strips Bivol, because they never wanted the Russian fighter to be the champion anyway, so they can fucking give David Benavidez a title. Just like fucking WBA gave fucking Tank Davis a fucking belt. You guys love to fucking fanboy for fighters who don't win titles, but are given titles, presented as presents in fucking boxes, all wrapped really nice. Because and I know that these PBC fucking hype jobs, once they fight a legitimate fighter, inevitably they get fucking beat, embarrassed, beat down, and basically sent into retirement. So we understand why you fucking are praying that the fight never happens. A new knockout Ball in spectacular fashion. It would be fun fight though. Ball is a dog. No, I think stylistically that fight would be fucking excellent. He gets cooked on black and brown boxing too. I don't even know why he's coming over here fucking pushing his narrative, but let's push it. If you keep talking about Canelo when we're talking about other topics, I'm just going to block you so that we can continue to move our feet forward without being fucking bogged down with stupidity. Rick Laser can't stand Mirage. He will leave panels if he jumps up. What protocol? Show me the WBC rules where a fighter can force WBC to do anything. I don't need to show you anything. These bias channels put Benavidez top 5 pound for pound. And we are going to be talking about that. Imagine having a fighter who fucking doesn't have a world title, hasn't had a world title in years, lost his 2 titles because fucking of immaturity and unprofessionalism. His best wins have come against fucking a guy Canelo knocked out. But Canelo's garbage. David Benavidez is top 5. These dudes are mental. Those channels, where are we? WBC decided they fight, they order, not the fighters you wombat. No, sorry, dumbass. That's not the way things go. There's protocol in every single sanctioning body, especially when you're ranked number 1, to put in the petition to or force them to mandate the WBC title fight. You know that, I know that. You're just fucking ignoring it. They just want him to lose so bad. Once Benavidez gets exposed, they'll move on to another fighter. Exactly, just like they did with Wilder, Spence, what they're going to do with fucking Tank soon. Obviously, what they did with Fulton, who was a one-hit wonder, even though he's come back and done what the rest of those fighters have never done, re-win a world title. right? We'll see what happens to Benavidez because he ain't that fucking good, son. I don't see Benavidez beating Beterbiev or Bivol. Me neither. What's his best win? Vostik, a guy who had been retired for 4 years. Wow, congratulations. Hollow Ninja, thank you very much. Bud's activity slowed down, but he is not inactive. Inactive is when you've been out of the ring for over a year and there's questions on when you're coming back. We knew Bud versus Madrimov 4 months before the year. Yes, but fighting once a year for 4 consecutive years is inactive. Bud just became a 4-division world champion, which helps him retain his top 3 spot. Yeah, and I have him top 3. I have him number 2. But I can understand why some people would put him at 3 and have a Nui above him. There's no... Oh, stop. Hollow Ninja Usyk has had 8 fights in 7 years. Bud fights once a year since 2019. They are looked at as the 2 best. What do you think about Devin Haney being under their card for Ryan Garcia? Laugh out loud. Feels like disrespect to Haney. Well, the truth is we know that Ryan Garcia, Rolly Romero, is a fight that's going to grab more casual fans' attention than Devin Haney versus Ramirez. Devin Haney, even if you're a huge fan of him, is not as fucking intriguing as Ryan Garcia. And the irony is these Devin Haney fans have fucking kicked back against that. Yet what they want most in life is for Devin Haney to get another payday by fighting Ryan Garcia. Right? If it wasn't true, then you wouldn't be pushing for the fucking rematch. The reason you're pushing for the rematch is because of money. Literally, Devin Haney was suspended for 1 year. Devin Haney was suspended for 1 year because Ryan Garcia failed a drug test. Put that in context. Ryan Garcia failed a drug test. Devin Haney was suspended for 1 year. You know, it's that concept of people say, when so-and-so eats, you don't shit. But in this case, when Ryan Garcia eats, Devin Haney shits. Right? This is just the fact. Devin Haney's done this to himself, right? He's the one who's tied his whole fucking reputation and name to fucking Ryan Garcia. It would have been better fucking tying your name to Tank Davis. You're just a hater. I'm a hater? How am I a hater? You're the one hating on Canelo Alvarez, the future Hall of Famer, the four-weight world champion, the undisputed 168-pound fighter, all to dick ride some fucking Mexican-American who's fucking never beat anyone to win a legitimate world title. And whose promoter, manager, contradicts fucking the fighter and his father literally fucking every 6 months. They fucking say opposite things consistently. So the whole team looks like they're full of shit and blatant liars. You can't contradict that because it's a fact. We've seen it on multiple occasions where fucking his manager contradicts the father and the son. So stop, please. You're out of your depth. You should go back to black and brown and bring your fucking Canelo hate there. You're like the traveling circus of anti-Canelo, but you're calling everyone else a hater. Imagine fucking the stupidity of that. I'm not coming to your channel fucking hating on David Benavidez. You're coming to my channel. Go fuck yourself. Yeah, he should be fighting Callum Smith on the undercard of Beterbiev and Bivol. That's what he should do. But because the PBC, doing what they've consistently do, get in the way of making fights, probably won't allow that fight to happen, which is why now they're pretending that they want the fight. Mirage, what happened with making the fight in June? They sent him an offer. Bivol said, okay, let's fight in June, and then I can still do the Beterbiev fight before the end of the year. What did David Benavidez say? Oh, no, I'm injured. I can't fight in June. You're fucking injured. How are you fucking injured? You just fought. And now it's March, April, May, June. But you're not going to be ready till July, August, September. It's going to take you 7 months. What fucking injury do you have? Oh, sorry. You fucking got no balls and you're hoping they fucking grow back. Or what you're hoping is the WBC will gift you a fucking title so you can fucking act like you've actually done something. You didn't win. You didn't beat anyone. The WBC just showed why fucking people want Saudi Arabia to get rid of all the fucking sanctioning bodies, because all they do is ruin the sport of boxing. But okay, go fanboy for Benavidez, because you won't be fucking fanboying him for that long. These things pushed his career back. He can't blame the brother, Sean. You know that. I'm not blaming anybody, Hollow Ninja. I'm just stating a fact. I've defended Bud Crawford consistently on my channel. Did you say Benavidez never won a legit title? Oh, sorry, he beat Durrell. My God, fucking Hall of Fame victory. Let's fucking sign him up. Funduro is going to fight Bud, but he wants to fight Canelo. Benavidez is waiting for him to vacate the title. Facts. He never did win a legit title. The fight was ordered. Let's see if Bivol makes the fight. Then we will see who has the balls. Well, no, we just saw fucking Bivol say, okay. They said Bivol can pick the date. Bivol said June. And then they said, we can't do it in June. We're injured. Oh, you can pick the date. We will be the promoters. Okay, June. Oh, no, sorry. We can't do it in June. Let's do it in September. I thought you just said I could pick the date because I'm the fucking champion. Don't believe the fucking hype. They can just drop the WBC title. It don't mean anything. He's going to fight Better Biev in a trilogy. Fuck Benavidez. Who's he going to fight? The WBC will throw him in with another PBC shit fucking opponent and put it on pay-per-view that nobody will pay for again. Kind of like Tank Davis versus fucking Lamont Roach. Keep doing what you're doing, PBC, because that shit is fucking working excellent. Where are we? That's not true, bro. He didn't hunt down Spence. Many times he talked about how he's no stringer from above. He did hunt him down. But at a certain point, when the PBC basically has blackballed you from 140 to 147 to 154, you just kind of say, fuck them. I don't need them. It's negotiation tactics to act like you don't really care, right? So we know Bud always wanted the fight. He consistently pushed for the fight. But at a certain point, when you know they're blatantly ducking you, you're not going to fucking be like Benavidez. You're not going to consistently fucking dick ride a guy all the time. Give him more attention, which is what Benavidez has done. The dude Mirage, biggest Benavidez fanboy. He's the same person. Goes to IBF's channel, if I'm correct. Of course, it's the same guy. You took Bud out of context. Bud was hunting down and waiting for Spence. He was. We all know this. Doesn't Benavidez want the fight in America? He does. The irony with that is you can do PBC, Benavidez, Bivol in America on pay-per-view, $85. That fucking fight won't do 150,000 buys. The American boxing fans don't spend money, especially to watch fucking some Russian fighter that they don't support. That fight won't make money. So, Al Heyman don't want to do that fight because he don't got the money to do it. He doesn't want to take a loss because he's seen the other 3 pay-per-views that Benavidez has been a part of. None of them have done more than 150,000 pay-per-view buys. They've all fucking been mediocre. Basically fucking busts. Stop it, dude. The fight happened because Arrow refused to fight anyone else, including giving him things that he didn't deserve. Well, the fight happened because Bud Crawford was in negotiation, was trying to be pressured by fucking Al Heyman and his team and said, I don't need you. And then went and got paid $10 million to fight on another platform. So then the fact that Spence went, come on, Al. I really need this fight. Let's make it. Let's not be like that. Come on, let's do the fight. And they did it. Then he got his ass planked. Yeah, but Bud should have stayed busy fight, but he won't fight anyone at 168 unless it's Canelo. Well, you don't, at this point, it doesn't make sense for him to fight somebody else. Let's not forget Mikey Garcia was protected by the PBC from Bud at 135. Yes, he was. Even though, yeah, it was mostly Mikey was protected from Lomachenko. Spence was protected from Bud, which leads to the Gamboa fight. Hopefully, Sajo doesn't duck Iglesias. I think the Billy Pacheco will happen. See, those are fucking great fights, David. That's what divisions should do. Make fights, right? You can't make this fight, so you make really good fucking fights. And if guys win it, it's going to really build up the other fights moving forward. You have Sajo fight Iglesias. Great fight for the winner. You have Pacheco versus Mimbili. Great fight for the winner. Billy Pacheco winner becomes a Canelo Alvarez fucking mandatory and a really intriguing matchup for Canelo Alvarez, especially coming off of a Bud Crawford fight. Doesn't matter if the WBC ordered anything. There's an order in which a champion defends the belt, and the WBC is third in Bivol's mandatory title defense. It does matter. It means Bivol must choose which belt to drop. But then once again, fucking he could drop all the belts. It don't matter. He's undisputed. All the rest of these clowns would just be fucking collecting his garbage. None of them beat him. He's still fucking the lineal champion, regardless of what any of those fucking clowns do. Errol and Keith told Bud to get a belt. He got the belt. They said, go fight Conor Brooke. Beat both. So what happens? Exactly, Hollow Ninja. We know the PBC, stringer from above, let's just put it in context. Let's not fucking make this, I don't like Bud, so I'm trying to hate Bud. I like this guy, so I'm trying to fucking fanboy for him. The PBC blackballed and ducked Bud Crawford from fucking 140 to 147, still doing it to 154. We can give Bud for a spectacular performance. We can also give Errol credit for pretty much forcing the PBC to make the fight. Sure, and that's what we said. Errol Spence forced the PBC because Bud was smart enough fucking not to play into their fucking traps. Bud did what they told him to do. How was he not hurting them down, hunting them down? It's going to be hard for Pacheco to win a decision against Mbili in Canada. I don't think so. I think Mbili is tailor-made for Pacheco. I remember Benavidez headlining with Caleb Plant that had a stacked undercard. It sold about 15,000 pay-per-views. So it showed me Benavidez fan base is on YouTube and that's it. Well, that's it. They're YouTube guys like Mirage. Loud fucking talkers on YouTube, but fucking don't fucking pull out their credit cards. Do you think Bud can beat Canelo if it happens in September? Does it affect his legacy? Well, if he wins, it totally affects his legacy because he becomes a three-weight undisputed champion. If he loses, it doesn't really impact his legacy, even though it does to a certain extent as well. We look at Roy Jones, and obviously the back part of his career takes away from the beginning of his career, which is disappointing. Because at one point, he was well above Floyd Mayweather as the best fighter of that generation. Dropping the belt is a duck. No, it's not. The belts are a bunch of fuck boys that just get in the way of boxing. If you want the fight, earn the fight. David didn't earn a fight at 175. He never beat a top 10 175-pound fighter. How do you fucking become a WBC mandatory when you never beat a top 10 175-pound fighter? Benavidez is a huge fight for Bivol. He must fight him or it's a duck. It's not a huge fight. He just got paid $10 million for 2 fights with Benavidez. 10 and 10, $20 million. That's way more money than Benavidez has been paid in his whole fucking career. And he's guaranteed another 10 million in his trilogy. And then if he wins that, he's guaranteed fucking probably 20 to fight Canelo Alvarez in a rematch. He does not need Benavidez. Benavidez needs him because Benavidez got no fucking legacy at all. None. So what's your early prediction, Sean? Canelo and Crawford. I just think Crawford is too old to have the legs he needs to beat Canelo Alvarez. So I think Canelo beats him. Do you pick Iglesias to beat everybody at 168 but Canelo? At this point, it's too early to say that because he hasn't fought really high-level opponents. So we don't really know how good he truly is. Why did Benavidez duck better Biev in 2020? Me and Sean respect Spence and gave him his credit for losing because Spence, after that car crash, at least tried the best to come back. Keith Thurman is a clown. We agree completely. Morrell and Vosdick were both ranked top 6 in the rankings. How is Morrell ranked in the top 6 when he fought a fucking inactive fighter who wasn't ranked in the top 10? And how is Vosdick, who'd been retired for fucking 4 years, ranked in the top 10? We know the rankings don't mean anything. And you're just proving my point, as you consistently do with your stupid fucking takes. Just like Canelo didn't need Benavidez, same duck argument. Well, Canelo definitely did not need fucking Benavidez. He still don't need him. That's why fucking Benavidez is still on his fucking knees. That guy's wearing out more pairs of jeans than fucking the whore fucking down the street from my house. Sean Stanionis versus Boots, April 12th, Atlantic City, Jersey. I'm going, it's 30 minutes from my house. Never seen a big fight in AC anymore. Atlantic City, right? We were talking about that not long ago. When was the last time fucking Atlantic City had big fights? It used to be the fucking mecca of boxing. People forget that. And then it became Vegas. But it used to be Atlantic City, Trump Tower. Everything used to happen in fucking Atlantic City. Yeah, Iglesias is the best, I think, but it's early. Oh, David, you love to jump on the bandwagon early and then bail. The making of that fight was 70-30 Spence. Bud was willing to walk away from it. No, Bud was willing to fucking play his hand that he had, which was to walk away to get paid more on another promotional company, showing that I don't need you. I don't need to fucking bend over and take it from you. And by doing that, he had Spence force the fight. If he would have just jumped into it, he would have got fucked over, potentially screwed on the cards. Who knows what would have happened? We know that PBC never wanted to fight. Callum Smith versus Benavidez on Bivol Better BF3 card is the fight to make. JD, see, some of us are just common sense boxing fans, unlike Mirage, right? We can see what's better for the fighters and better for the sport. You put Callum Smith, Benavidez on the undercard, they're going to guarantee a huge payday from Saudi Arabia. It's going to make a huge fucking card, a card everyone really should talk about. And then, of course, Bivol Better BF get their trilogy fight. Bivol walks away, probably the winner, because Better BF is 40 years old, closing in on 41. And then the winner of Callum Smith, Better BF, Benavidez, literally earned a fucking opportunity for Undisputed. For Undisputed. We don't need to be stripping fucking titles, fucking people over. It's the same with heavyweights. Now the WBO wants to strip Usyk to give Parker a belt. No, what they should do is force fucking Daniel Dubois to fight Parker. The winner gets Usyk for Undisputed. We don't need these sanctioning bodies to continue to fucking water down the sport just to fucking give promotional companies champions that they need so they can market them. Because that's what this is about. That's why the WBA blows the PBC, why the WBO blows fucking Top Rank, right? We don't need this shit anymore. It's not good for boxing. That's why a lot of people are excited about the possibility of Saudi Arabia getting rid of the 4 sanctioning bodies. Because fuck those guys. They're garbage. They always have been garbage. Some channels are bragging about Crawford's size. He's put on, I say he gasses. Well, he's looking a little fat in the pictures I just saw. I wouldn't say, I think he's trying to put on weight, and then obviously he will cut down for the weight. So he's looking a little fat and chubby right now. But we'll see how he looks once he makes weight. Go ask the rings rankings. I'm speaking facts. You're speaking opinions. No, you're not. What I'm saying is facts. Vosdick was retired for 4 years. Didn't come back and beat any legitimate opponents. Shouldn't have been fucking ranked in any top 10. Morrell fought a guy who hadn't fought and hadn't beat anyone in fucking years as a warm-up to the new division, and shouldn't have fucking elevated him into the top 10. These guys are elevated there because the promotional companies pay OLA, sanctioning bodies, to elevate these fighters into the rankings. You know that. I know that. Everyone in the chat knows that. So stop the cap. Terrence Crawford, round 12 TKO of Canelo. I don't think that's happening. No fucking chance, Hollow Ninja. I know you get the Canelo versus Bivol rematch, but where are we? But I think it's going to be the same result. Yeah, I think it's the same result, but Canelo deserves the opportunity. Him going up to fight 175 for Undisputed, right, to become a 2-weight Undisputed champion against Bivol. You can't criticize Canelo for doing that. Literally fucking Mirage would criticize him, and the rest of the Canelo haters would, but that's exactly what you would want Canelo Alvarez to do at that point of his career. Fight that kind of opponent. Undisputed world champion. Crawford's last performance against Madrimov was not so good. Not sure he can beat Canelo. You said David never fought a top 10 heavyweight. Wow. You say rankings don't matter. He didn't beat a top 10 heavyweight, light heavyweight. Vostik, Morale weren't legitimate top 10 fucking light heavyweights. You know that. Everybody in the chat knows that. So stop. Now I know you're a fanboy. Stanionis in boots is a good fight. Best one on the schedule. Great fight. Bud wanted 65 to 45, 50-50, I guess. But Bud even said he ended up getting way more than what he wanted. Great fight. I'm a fanboy. I just have great respect for the guys. I call out Bud. If he's something wrong, believe me, you probably have Callum Smith beating Benavidez. He's got a good chance of beating him. As good as fucking Benavidez has of beating him. What do you think about both ESPN Ring Magazine pound for pound list? Ask a question. Why didn't David Benavidez fight Smith to become unified at 168? Why didn't he fight anyone to become unified at 168? Because he got no balls and was protected by the PBC. What do you think about ESPN Ring Magazine pound for pound list? I don't think there's a problem with it. I mean, legitimately, as I say, there's 15 fighters you can put on the list. Everyone they have on the list except Benavidez deserves to be on the list. He didn't deserve the base, his previous pound for pound numbers and overall revenue. Spence gets credit for accepting those demands. Man, stringer from above. Who cares about all that shit? And why are we still going back and forth on Spence and Crawford? Are you just sad that Spence got beat and is irrelevant right now? He's not irrelevant. He got a Keith Thurman fight. And we know the PBC and PBC fanboy is going to be pushing for that like crazy. So put your money towards that. Push Spence to fight Thurman. Pay-per-view in America, $80. They're going to love it. Well, plus, I believe Cabial would beat Parker. Oh, yeah, Cabial could beat all of them, I think. Forget the pound-for-pound numbers. Bud's fight. Yeah, forget it. Dubois, cool. Just don't make excuses. Canelo destroys him. They're ranked. It was a fact. So I don't care what you have to say. You are a fucking idiot. Welcome back, Young Hungry Lions. Thank you, Hard Recoil. I won't respect and give credit to all fighters, win or lose. Why do you guys never try to go to Canelo's body? Crawford has always been big, 154, I think, set up. Fight Turkey, don't like Canelo. He's been a fan of Bud. David is first in line at 175. Canelo can jump. David's not first in line, though. Unfortunately, he legitimately doesn't deserve the first fight. He's only been at the weight for fucking what? A week? I love Canelo, but can he do different things at Bivol in the rematch, Sean? I don't think so. You tell me Canelo's stamina might be something someone should test. They'll stop. Are Taiwanese more respectful than Americans and Canadians? Sometimes. Man, you guys are writing comments too quick. I can't keep track. So, as they say, talk amongst yourselves. But let me put up my pound for pound things here. Oh, that's not what I'm putting up. What's going on? What's wrong? Let me see if I can. Okay. So there we go. So I know you guys would rather talk about Spence and fucking Crawford and Canelo Alvarez, David Benavidez, but sorry, if you want to talk about that, you're free to leave and go to another chat. We'll talk about them as they're relevant for pound. If they're not relevant for pound, we're not talking about them right now because we got other things to talk about. So obviously, pound for pound lists are something exciting that people love to talk about. This is Ring IQ's pound for pound. I don't have a problem with anyone's pound for pound, but you got to ask yourself, how do they develop these lists based on what? We know what Ring IQ does is a lot of his stuff is based on career achievement. And a lot of people that always comment on pound for pounds always talk about career achievements. But career achievement is only relevant if you're actually still a champion and still fucking fighting top names and still fighting regularly. He has obviously Usyk number 1, Inouye number 2. I agree that they should be 1 or 2. Then he's got Canelo at 3, Crawford at 4. I don't think Canelo deserves to be a number 3. Not at this point of his career, based on the opponents he's been fighting. I have him number 6 on my list. I think Bud Crawford deserves to be above him. He's got Bivol at number 5. I think you could put Bivol above Crawford, and Canelo's obviously below him. Then you got Tio. I definitely would not put Tio this high on the list. What has he done that's been outstanding recently? Lomachenko, obviously he is a champion, so he's on the list based on career achievements, but been inactive, had a great fight against Kambosos, but literally is going to be out of the ring for a year. Zurdo deserves to be on the list. Zurdo, as Drunk Irishman loves to talk about, is one of the fighters who's literally doing the most right now in the sport of boxing. Is that Zurdo? I thought, oh yeah. And then, of course, Bam deserves to be on the list, and Shakur. Whether you have Shakur or Junto or Devin Haney, there's an argument for all of them, and that's always what I had to say. Where was it? Hollow Ninja says, shout out to Spence. I respect Spence. At least he tried to be the best, to come back after his car crash and do the best to win. Thurman is 100% a clown. Yes, but Spence and Thurman is a fight that makes sense. But let's scroll through. Shakur deserves to be there based on what he's done. But with my argument with Junto's been far more dominant recently. He's accomplished the exact same things as Shakur, 3-weight world champion, and he's fought more world champions. Shakur was gifted 2 of his titles, both vacant titles, the WBC title at 135, the WBO title at 126. The titles he won at 130 were legitimate, but unfortunately, the rest of his titles, not so much, right? Whereas Junto's been fighting champions for the most part, doing what he had to do. So, that's why I feel Junto deserves to be on the list if you're going to compare those two. But only John wants to compare the black fighter to the non-black fighter and make it him versus him. In truth, it's not him versus him. There's 10 people on the list plus another 5 or 6 under the list. So there's more to it than just cherry picking one opponent to hating on another. John will point out Junto doesn't deserve to be on the list, but then he ignores David Benavidez, who currently is not even a world champion, right? If you wanted to throw someone off the list, throw David Benavidez off, and then you keep Shakur and you keep fucking Junto. But of course, that's not what he wants to do. Garden Snake says, am I wrong? Crazy for putting Bivol number 2 on a pound for pound list? I think putting Bivol number 2 is not a mistake. You could easily put him there based on his performance against Beterbiev, even in the loss, which many people feel he won. Him beating Zurdo, who many people feel currently is a pound for pound fighter. So he beat 2 pound for pound fighters. And then based on his victory versus Canelo, another pound for pound fighter. So Bivol had victories against three pound for pound fighters. You tell me any other fighter in the top 15 who has 3 victories in a few year period of boxing against 3 pound for pound fighters. Usyk, well, of course, he's a heavyweight, so no. Inouye, no. Canelo, no. Crawford, no. Tio, no. Lomachenko, no. Zurdo, no. Bam, no. Shakur, Devin Haney, no. Tank Davis, no. The only one who's done that is Bivol. So if you wanted to put Bivol at number 2, I don't think people can complain. The people that want Bud Crawford at number 1 because he looks like them, they will complain, because it doesn't matter who's at number 1. If it's not Bud Crawford, it's wrong, right? And that's what this comes down to. Everybody is right as long as it's Crawford at number 1. David, thank you. Not at all. Bivol's resume is crazy. Bivol's resume is crazy. 3 fucking pound for pound fighters that he beat, right? 1 undisputed 168-pound fighter, 1 undisputed 175-pound fighter, 1 unified cruiserweight fighter. And 2 of the 3, he beat fucking easily. Beat Zurdo easily. Beat Canelo easily. Beterbiev, not so much. That's why most people still feel Beterbiev deserves to be ranked pretty high based on how stellar he's been. So here's BFTB's list. He started from the 15, but really that's just an excuse to really hate on people, right? by showcasing them being fucking low on the list. He's got Junto at number 15, Stephen Fulton at number 14. How do you put Stephen Fulton above Junto Nakatani? Junto is a 3-weight world champion who's never been beaten. Stephen Fulton is currently now a 2-weight world champion who literally just got fucking destroyed by Inui, right? Jay Opataya at number 13. I think that could be fair. People say that obviously the winner of Jay Opataya and Zerto should be pound for pound. Then you could justify it, right? And I agree to an extent, but obviously some people are kicking back and think Zerto deserves to be ranked up there. Whether you do or not, that's fine. But the truth is, he is a unified champion in his second division. So he's done more than Tank Davis has done, right? And most people have Tank Davis on their list. And the only guy he lost to was a pound-for-pound fighter. Tank Davis never fought a pound-for-pound fighter. So let's keep it real. BFTB had Wilder number 1, even after getting destroyed by Fury. A boxer, right? This is the other thing that people love to cherry pick. Historically, boxers weren't ranked on pound-for-pound lists because pound-for-pound were non-heavyweight fighters, trying to give non-heavyweight fighters the attention they deserved, because obviously back in the day, heavyweights got all the attention. So putting a heavyweight in your list defeats the whole point of the pound-for-pound list. People say, well, Usyk is pound for pound. No. Usyk, like Roy Jones and Gene Tunney and others, is a smaller fighter who moved up to that division. He did ultimately what pound for pound lists are, moved up in weight, beating multiple weight division fighters. But, it is what it is. So there's his bottom 3. Then he gets to Shakur Stevenson at number 12. Of course, like Tank Davis fans hate Shakur. Devin Haney fans also hate Shakur. Then you got Joseph Parker, a heavyweight, at number 11. Not Daniel Dubois, right? Like, I like Parker. I think Parker deserves respect. But think about putting Joseph Parker above Daniel Dubois. Daniel Dubois is currently an IBF world champion. Joseph Parker is not a world champion. So again, you're putting a non-champion on a pound-for-pound list above champions and guys who've earned the right to be on this list, right? People think that Daniel Dubois justifiably beat Usyk and that was a knockout and that Usyk was fucking protected, right? So, there's a lot of reason to think Daniel Dubois should be on this list. And this is no disrespect to Parker. Ortiz at number 10. Again, Ortiz is not a world champion. Not yet. So trying to put him, a guy who arguably lost his 2 fights ago, on the list based on beating a guy that just came off of a loss, somehow putting him in the top 10 based on that, makes me scratch my head. You didn't beat an undefeated fighter. You didn't beat a champion. You beat a guy who just lost, right? And was gifted a lot of praise because he was competitive against Bud Crawford. And prior to that, you got dropped twice by a guy that nobody ranks or rated. And based on that, you deserve to be top 10 above guys who literally have done the work. Shakur is a 3-weight world champion. Junto Nakatani, a 3-weight world champion. Virgil Ortiz, a 0-weight world champion in his second division, but has never been a world champion at this point of his career. And if I'm not mistaken, he's older than both Shakur and Junto. I might be wrong. I know Virgil is not too old, but I think he might be older than them. Correct me if I'm wrong. Janet Beck gets no love on pound for pound. No. So they stopped complaining about us having a boxing debate. Let's move forward. So at this point, Shakur, I think, should be higher. Parker and Ortiz, I don't think, should even be considered pound for pound at this point. If Parker beats Daniel Dubois, becomes a world champion, then maybe you can have the conversation, even though he's a heavyweight. For Ortiz, if he wins a world title at the division, at least now you can start talking about him potentially being a champion. When he becomes a champion, he's still not a champion. Then we get to Lomachenko at number 8. Obviously, Lomachenko deserves to be on the list based on the fact that, he is who he is. Inui, number 9. Lomachenko's been inactive for a year, came off of a loss to Devin Haney, right? And I'm a huge Lomachenko fan. And I think he justifiably could easily be in the top 10. He's in my top 15. But Inui at number 9, this is just a disrespect call. Putting Junto at number 15 and Inui at number 9 is just the LDBC disrespecting Japanese boxers. And then Jesse Bam Rodriguez is number 7. I think 7 is probably a pretty good place for Jesse Bam Rodriguez. Obviously, a two-weight world champion, unified in one division. And the way it looks like he's going to be trying to unify in his next weight class. So, you can't really argue with what he's doing, even though I would prefer he move up to his third weight division and take on Junto Nakatani, a pound-for-pound fighter. At this point of his career and Junto's career, that's a legacy fight. You beat Junto, become a three-weight world champion, you go into the top 5 on the pound-for-pound list on everyone's list. If Junto beats you, he fucking legitimizes himself by beating a well-known American fighter. Then people won't be able to say, oh, we don't even know who he's fighting, right? Which is what they say now. So literally beating him is a huge victory. Huge victory. Then we go to the next part. Then you got Haney at number 6. A little too high because Haney literally is coming off of suspension. Literally, Devin Haney is coming off of drug suspension. So should he really be so high on a list based on being suspended for 1 year for drug use? I think not. It seems wrong to put him this high on a list, specifically when that performance, he also did not look very good either. He got dropped multiple times. His chin looked really iffy. He couldn't defend against the left hand, so much so that he got hurt by that punch 6 times, dropped 3 times, right? If you're such a great fighter, the next Floyd Mayweather, you should not be getting hit by that punch again and again and again and again and again and again. Devin at 6, of course. Yeah, and we know why Devin Haney is so high. Because the LDBC, this is their new fucking fanboy fighter. Of course, Wilder is gone. Spence is gone. They need a new fighter. It's Devin Haney. So they're putting all their energy and all their motivation into capping and fronting for Devin Haney. And then, of course, at number 5, I think it's number 5, is David Benavidez. I mean, I don't know how you put David Benavidez, a top 5 pound-for-pound fighter in boxing, when he's not even currently a world champion. Then you got Better Biev at 4. Can't complain about that. That's legitimate. And then, of course, you got Bivol, Usyk, and Canelo. Bud Crawford. So the top 4, you can't complain. You may disagree with the position of the fighters, but as far as these 4 fighters being in the top 4, no problem with it. Obviously, Inui should be in the mix as well, but you got Better Biev, Bivol, Usyk, and Bud Crawford. The only other addition that really is missing from this list, of course, there's no Tank Davis, right? Why doesn't the LDBC have Tank Davis on the list? Because the LDBC are the biggest fucking haters of fucking Tank Davis on the YTBC, right? And if you do a fucking Tank Davis fanboy fucking pay-per-view, you're probably not going to have Devin Haney on the top 10 because Tank Davis fanboy channels are the biggest haters of fucking Devin Haney, right? I know it's all based on racism, but it's black on black crime. It has nothing to do with racism. So let's keep it honest. But Canelo not being on the list again is pure bullshit. They're going to say, oh, PED use. PED use. Okay. Why do you think Duarte called him out? I don't think Haney could beat Duarte, to be honest. Duarte stylistically is fucking a tough fight for Haney. The pressure that he brings, I don't know how Devin Haney would keep him off of him. If he struggled to keep Lomachenko off of him, how's he going to keep fucking Duarte off of him? I think Devin Haney could outbox him for 3-4 rounds, and then the pressure would start getting to him. And I could see Duarte stopping him fucking by the 10th, 11th round of that fight. Speaking of which, I don't know why Duarte doesn't want a rematch with Ryan. Oh, I'm sure he wants a rematch. I'm sure he does. But that is BFTB's list, right? And for the most part, you can't complain with the majority of fighters on the list because, as I say, it's 15 fighters that are all used and put on lists, because there's literally 15 fucking superstar fighters in boxing. A few people that should be on the list: Tank, Canelo, Kenshiro. A few fighters that shouldn't be on the list: Ortiz, Benavidez, Parker, right? Outside of those 3-on-3, you could fucking swap them, and then everyone on his list would be fucking legitimate. You may disagree where people are, but you can't really disagree with who they are. He didn't get the stoppage, but it was a good performance. Some of these channels get paid to hype up fighters. I think that's what's happening with Haney. It's completely what's happening with Haney. The LDBC gets paid off by Devin Haney's dad to fucking hype him up, just like fucking they got paid off to hype up Spence, just like they got paid off to fucking hype up Wilder. Right? You know, they understand the significance of social media, and they utilize these channels to fucking hype these fighters up and push the algorithms up. Push the algorithm up. Who's that fighting? I had this card on from the zone, but outside of the first 4 rounds with Ortiz, I haven't seen anything. I don't think Golden Boy doesn't want to make Ryan Duarte rematch because they know it was a tough fight for Ryan. Fucking hella tough. He was lucky to survive. Who's that ugly bitch? God damn. Sit down, girl. Even if you're somebody's mother, you should be embarrassed to fucking be dancing around in that dress. So this is my pound for pound top 15. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you disagree with. I'm surprised BFTB doesn't have Wilder's top 3. Yeah. So I got Zerto at number 15. I'm giving him praise and shout out for becoming a 2-weight world champion and by unifying at cruiserweight. Obviously something the majority of fighters in boxing don't do. Tio at number 14, because at this point of his career, he's had some great victories. But currently at 140 pounds, he's leaving a lot to be desired. You don't know what to expect from him from one fight to another, right? He could look great in one fight and mediocre in the next. So it really makes you wonder if he's really a great fighter or if stylistic opponents really are important for him. That's why a lot of people are predicting that he's going to lose to Barboza, because it's the wrong style for him. Shakur at number 13, because once again, Shakur's moved to 135 pounds, and outside of the one performance against the Japanese fighter, he's disappointed. He has not looked dominant. He has not looked destructive. He's looked a little fragile. We know his hands are breaking down at this weight. He's sort of going through what Floyd Mayweather went through in his career. So you got to ask yourself, how much more can we expect of Shakur, especially now that he's in his 3rd weight division? We know moving up in weight divisions, fighting bigger fighters, your performances are no longer as dominant as they once were. And that's kind of what it looks like with Shakur right now. He's still young, so I still give him the opportunity to continue with his career and get better and impress us moving forward. But at this point, there's some serious questions for him. So how much higher can I put him on the list? Devin Haney at number 12. I know he didn't lose to Ryan Garcia, but even in saying that, he was still exposed by Ryan Garcia. This was a guy that most people felt he should outbox easily, specifically based on his fantastic performance against Regis Prograis, right? Regis, a much more decorated fighter than Ryan Garcia. The other concern is Devin Haney couldn't get away from the left hand. So now when he fights Ramirez, that's something people are really looking forward to see if he can take the left hand from Ramirez or take it away from Ramirez. Either one of these things are going to be important moving forward, right? So I do think Devin Haney also doesn't deserve to be very high on the pound for pound list. It's not that he hasn't done great things in his career. He has. He was undisputed. Sorry, the youngest undisputed champion ever. You only say that because that's the only thing you could say, right? What does it matter that he's the youngest? Because he may never be fucking unified or a champion again in his career. So that's the one thing you're going to hang your hat on. But at this point, it's about what have you done for me lately? Zerto is on the list because he's actually done something. Tio, Shakur, Haney, they've disappointed in their most recent fights over the last couple of years. So they fall down on my list. You happy, drunk Irishman? Where are we? Run boxing. We run unboxing. We was Kags. Zerto should be top 10 already. He beat tougher guys than Prime Blaskov, Jesse Hart twice, and Joe Smith Jr., etc. Oh, come on. Now you're just fanboying. Then, of course, at number 11, I got Kenshiro Taraji. Obviously, I think he's in the conversation for pound. He's a two-weight unified champion. Obviously, he was unified in both divisions, 108 and 112. Has a great resume. Has the longest fucking run as a champion in boxing right now. Very solid resume, beating a lot of champions. Has a ton of title defenses. But Mexican boxing, you don't need to be a hater just to fanboy Mexican fighters. It makes you look stupid. But in his last two fights, he's looked vulnerable. And he did take a loss at 108 pounds. So even though he's got the wins, he's done the things he needed to do, he found a way to win. The question is, at this point of his career, is he fading? Is he still the great fighter that he once was? Is moving up in weight too much for him? There's talk about him potentially moving up to the next division. He's been calling out Bam Rodriguez. Obviously, I'd love to see that fight. It's a big money fight. It makes sense. But at this point, does anyone think Kenshiro Taraji would beat Bam Rodriguez, especially with the lack of defense he has, moving up to 115 pounds? Bam Rodriguez would love the opportunity to fight Kenshiro Taraji. Then I got Lomachenko at number 10. Obviously, I would have him probably higher if he was more active. His performance against Kambosos was great. He showed that he still has it. He could still do it. He's still one of the best fighters in the sport. But is he really still interested in the sport? Why is it high? Lomachenko is a world champion. He's a three-weight world champion. He was three-belt unified. His last loss to Devin Haney was super controversial. He came back and destroyed a common opponent in Kambosos, something Devin Haney couldn't do in two fights, right? So, And then Junto at number 9. Junto has been one of the hottest fighters in boxing. So people might say, Shakur, Devin Haney deserved to be above him. But none of those fighters are on the hot streak that Junto's on. Junto's been knocking fucking motherfuckers the fuck out. You watched my video the other day when I compared Junto to Shakur Stevenson. I showed highlights from YouTube, and they did not demonetize my video. But obviously we see sensational knockouts. The same thing that makes Tank Davis number 8 on my list is because of the dominance of performance, right? Lomachenko, dominant against fucking George Kambosos. Nakatani, dominant against his opponents. Tank Davis, dominant against his opponents up until, of course, running into Lamont Roach, which is why he's number 8 on my list and not higher. Because previously, he was higher on my list. How is Tank Davis on the list? Tank Davis is a two-weight world champion who's destroyed the opposition he's faced. He did the exact same thing Gennady Golovkin did as a middleweight, literally destroying everyone. He didn't get the big fights like Tank Davis didn't get the big fights, neither did Golovkin. And that's what we're asking for. We wanted Golovkin to fight the other champions and test himself against the best fighters. We want Tank Davis to do the same thing. If he does that, then obviously it's going to justify him moving up the list into the top 5. Doesn't matter who he destroyed. He's destroying champions and everyone that steps in the ring with him, destroying them. And fine, in hindsight, you can say he should have beat all those fighters, but he's still done it in sensational fashion. See, I hope if you're going to hate on Tank Davis for his destruction, that you also hated on Golovkin for his destruction. If you did that, then you're being fair, and I can't say anything about you. But if you were pro Golovkin, but now anti-fucking Tank Davis, you're looking a little bit hypocritical. And if you're pro Tank Davis and anti-Lomachenko, again, John Boxing, you're looking fucking hypocritical. I'm being consistent. You can't. Who do you think deserves to be above Tank Davis at number 8? Loma will never take a knee to Roach, those B- level. He might take a knee to fucking Tank, though. Yeah, cherry picking smaller guys and weight training them, destroy who? Frank Martin, a good win, but he went life and death with Jackson Marinas till he finally stopped him. Yeah, I don't disagree with the things you say, But the point of the conversation is you could have criticized Golovkin in the same fashion. I'm just being consistent. I don't know if you are or you're not. I hope you are. And if you are, okay. I have no need to fucking criticize you. You just don't put Tank Davis so far on your list. Nah, Sean, I agree with Mexican. Loma over Tank, really. I think, obviously, career-wise, Lomachenko does rate over fucking Tank Davis. But this isn't about career. Lomachenko has 3 losses in his resume. Tank Davis has never been beaten. I know that Lomachenko lost to 2 great fighters in Teo and Devin Haney, both guys on my top 15 pound for pound list. Tank Davis never fought that level of opponent yet. So I get that. Even the Ring magazine has him out of the top 10. Yeah, but doesn't mean I agree with it. They got David Benavidez on their list. You won't find David Benavidez anywhere in my top 15. Before Frank Martin, Marinas, Richard Comey blasted out Marinas. Hey, I'm not debating it. This is my opinion. You can think that Tank Davis deserves to be lower. Fine. How low do you think he deserves to be? Put it on the comment section. Who do you think deserves to be above him? People said I had Lomachenko too high, and now they think Lomachenko deserves to be above Tank Davis. So then you think Tank Davis deserves to be number 11 and 12? If that's your opinion, leave it in the comment section. What number you think he belongs? Then we move forward. At number 7, Canelo Alvarez. Obviously, Mexican boxing fan, not going to like that either. But at this point, he deserves to be below all the fighters above him. Bam Rodriguez, Jesse at number 6. He's been, outside of Junto Nakatani, probably the most dominant fighter consistently in the sport of boxing. Anui as well. Everybody else has showed hiccups, right? Little glitches. Whereas Bam has been destructive, destroying people. I know he got dropped, but then got up and fucking knocked the guy out, the best fighter he's ever been in with. Junto Nakatani has just been destroying his opposition, right? Junto over Tank, okay. Put the number. I don't care who, put the number. What number do you want Junto at? What number do you want Tank at? Let's just keep it easy instead of fucking having this he said, she said back and forth. Canelo had a great career, but he didn't do much lately. Yeah, and that's what this is. Pound for pound is not a career achievements award. Canelo is still on the pound for pound list because of his great career. But coming off of a loss to Bivol and fighting less than elite level opponents, not bad opponents, and opponents that still did big numbers on pay-per-view, I can't be too critical of him, but he's not fighting the elite fighters that he potentially could be fighting, which would obviously have him elevated on the pound for pound list. Better BF at number 5, Bivol at number 4. Obviously I swapped those 2 fighters because of, the decisions in their 2 fights. That Haney robbery got to Lomachenko's head. Yeah, and that's the problem, right? Lomachenko wants to retire because of that shit. Nah, anybody who has Tank top 10 is delusional. Not delusional. Gervonta Davis, 30-1. Did you have Golovkin on your top 10 pound for pound list? 7-4, I agree. If Boots beats Stanionis in impressive fashion, I probably put Boots over Tank. If Virgil Ortiz hadn't looked too shaky against Bohocuk, I would have Virgil over Tank. Wow, David, you're fucking gifting fighters big rankings based on 1 victory. Yeah, but if he beats Crawford, how much will he go up? Well, if Canelo beats Crawford, he'd go into the top 5. Depends on how he beats Crawford. If he destroys Crawford, maybe I'd put him in the top 3. Crawford would probably drop down to number 7. I think Tank should be right under Teo. I think the disagreement with some is how you rate recent accomplishments versus overall career. Yeah, but this is not a career achievement award. If you guys watch pound for pound rankings in every sport in the world, they adjust weekly based on performance. Right now in the NBA, in the West, the Golden State Warriors would be number 1. Not overall in the standings, but number 1 on the West pound for pound rankings. because literally they're 14-1 in their last 15 games, right? This is how pound for pound works. Obviously, we know Oak City is number 1 overall in the standings, but on pound for pound rankings right now, they'd probably be at number 2, maybe 3. Golden State would be number 1. People that want to use a career accomplishments on a pound for pound list, they only do that to justify their fighters being high on the list because they're not doing anything now, nothing that they can get behind. What's your pound for pound? I will show you. I'm not really big on Tank, but I'd probably have him 10 or 9. Notice he had better BF over Bam and Canelo, even after he lost. And you know why? Because he's Canadian like Sean. Oh, come on, Rick. Literally, better BF just lost a very close, controversial fight to Bivol. Bivol previously had just lost a very close, controversial fight to Better BF. Those two fighters have very little between them. Both of them performed fucking outstanding in their 2 fights. Bam fought an old inactive fighter in Estrada who hadn't fought in over a year. Canelo hasn't fought that level of opponent. So this has nothing to do with Canadian because Better BF is Russian. He's not fucking Canadian. Let's just be honest. You'll never hear me praising him and calling him a fucking Canadian like me. I think the Lakers have something to say about that. No, the Lakers might be number 2 or number 3. Obviously, they slipped the last few games without LeBron, but obviously they were on a bit of a run as well. Boots will have done something Tank has never done, unify straps. Sure. Even though he didn't really win the first title. That was gifted to him. So, in truth, he won 1 title. But let's move forward. Because you guys can tell me who number 3, 2, and 1 are going to be. It's just a matter of what order. So you tell me right now in your comment section below, where do you have Crawford, Inoue, and Usyk on your list? What numbers? I will let you guys leave in the comment section below, and we'll see your rankings before I show mine. You show me yours, I'll show you mine. Better BF is from Dagestan, Russia. Facts. Stanionis, if he beats Boots, I might put him over Tank. Butayev would be a great win if Butayev would do something and not be so inactive. That's true. I agree with you. I like Butayev. Pause. No Diddy. Hold on, guys. I just need to get some baby oil. Boots will have done something Tank has never done. That's true. Sounds like John Boxing talking, making up his own rules to rank them. Me? What rules am I making up to rank who? Career achievement is not a pound for pound list. Pound for pound list has a lot to do with what you're doing now, who you beat, what you've accomplished, how active you've been, what you're doing now. Obviously, we still take into consideration your accomplishments, which is why Canelo Alvarez is number 7 on my list and why Lomachenko is number 10 on my list. Because if I didn't take these things into consideration, Canelo and Lomachenko potentially would be right off the list altogether. Adone says Usyk, Inoue, Bivol, Crawford, Canelo. So you got Usyk 1, Inoue 2, Bivol 3, Crawford 4. Hard Recoil says Usyk, 1, 2, and 3 in any order. I don't understand what that means. Stringer says Usyk, Inoue, and Bud. Perez says Usyk, Crawford, and Inoue. They are kind of 1A, 1B, 1C. Exactly. Of course, some guys like John Boxing, they don't accept that because you can only have a black fighter at number 1. If you don't have a black fighter at number 1, you're obviously fucking racist. The reason I can't put Virgil or Boots pound for pound, though, is because they have so many guys that could potentially beat them. Well, and the truth is they both fucking ducked Bud Crawford for the WBO title. And literally, Boots looks like he's more interested in fighting Teofimo Lopez than fighting Virgil Ortiz. That's also not a great look. For Virgil Ortiz, I mean, the truth is what he's doing fucking now, there's no complaints. Apparently, his next fight is going to be against IBF world champion Murtazaliev. And if he fights Murtazaliev after Paholchuk, Madrimov, and then fucking Murtazaliev, we cannot question his heart, because no fighters in boxing want to take on three tough Eastern European fighters back to back to back like that. But if that's what Ortiz is doing, he beats Murtazaliev, he will come onto my pound for pound top 10, fucking well above a fucking hype job like David Benavidez. Well above him. It ain't even fucking close. And at that point, I'd put him above Tank Davis as well, because I know he's just a one-weight world champion, but what he's doing in such a short period of time, that's what Tank Davis never showed the balls to fucking do in his career. Jaime has Rolly Romero, Barbosa, and Pitbull, 1, 2, and 3. Well, they're definitely not in my top 3. Stringer says, if Bivol beats David convincingly, he would have a strong argument for top 2 pound for pound. If he beats Benavidez after beating Beterbiev, Zurdo, and Canelo, he's got an honest case for number 1. Because I don't fucking disrespect and hate on Benavidez. I just think people are using him to shit on Canelo Alvarez, that they don't really love him that much. Yeah, I agree. They both did Crawford, especially if he beats Murtazaliev. Fuck, man. That's a great win. Great list, bro. I would put Wilder at number 1, though. I was being sarcastic, bro. Yes, we all know you're being sarcastic. That's blatant. But let's jump into it and see who I got in my top 3. So there's my top 3. Inoue at number 3, Bud Crawford at number 2, Usyk at number 1. Obviously, I think Usyk deserves to be number 1 based on beating Tyson Fury back-to-back fights. I mean, he's literally fighting a guy 50 pounds heavier than him. He's doing what ultimately exemplifies pound for pound, right? He's doing what throwback fighters used to do back in the day. Remember when guys like Harry Greb and other fighters, who's the, Mickey Walker and all these other guys used to jump through multiple weight divisions. You had much smaller fighters go up and face fucking the heavyweights. Who was the dude that fought Jack Johnson? Stanley Ketchel, right? Stanley Ketchel, who's really a middleweight, right, went up and fought the heavyweight. Knocked, obviously, Jack Johnson down. Jack Johnson got up and said, I was carrying you, boy. Fucking, now I'm getting serious. And knocked him the fuck out, knocking one of his teeth or a few of his teeth out, right? That's what people used to do back in the day. They would challenge themselves going up through multiple weight divisions, kind of like Bud Crawford is doing, going up to face Canelo. So Usyk deserves to be there. There's a great career, 23 victories, and already undisputed in both divisions, gold medal Olympian. This guy's career has been almost perfect, except that only recently his personality is starting to be shown more and more. His English is getting better, and we see that he's a character, even though he was always a character, even as an amateur, with his old fucking Cossack fucking hairstyle. And Bud Crawford, obviously, Bud Crawford is a legend. I can't disrespect him too much. I know people think I'm disrespecting him, having him behind Usyk, but I don't think that's disrespect. He's been inactive compared to fucking Inoue and Usyk. Inoue, I thought Inoue in his last few fights has sort of fallen off a little bit. Hasn't looked nearly as dominating and as destructive as I would like him to look, as I think he should look against the quality of opposition he's been facing. So I find it hard to put him above Bud Crawford at this point based on those kind of performances. If he was still destroying people, right, then I'd probably put him above Crawford. Because Crawford, once again, he looked pedestrian against Madrimov in his last performance. So, one performance can be the difference to have somebody ranked in the pound for pound list. Of course, guys like JB and others, they think Crawford deserves to be number 1, and they think he deserved to be number 1 ever since Andre Ward retired. Just like they think Andre Ward should have been pound for pound after fucking Floyd Mayweather retired. They think there should be a long chain of black fucking dominance at pound for pound number 1 position, and that there should be no other fighters who incrementally could be fighting to put themselves in that position. But that's not pound for pound. that is the opposite of what a pound for pound list is. But you know, what do you expect from fucking these kind of people? Racist channels that only focus on race. Where you are. Your thought Virgil beat Boholchuk, but it was very close. I know the knockdowns happened, but that doesn't automatically mean Virgil lost. It's just not a good look for Virgil's part not to rematch. That's true. Would anyone favor Barrios to beat Virgil? No. Ennis? No. Stenios? No. Or any of the other top five guys. Uh, him and fucking Howard would be a good fight. Anybody's beating fighters at an extreme weight height and reach at disadvantages like pound for pound King Usyk. Yeah. Like, I mean, it's hard to, oh my God, who's this bum Berlanga just knocked out with his fucking titties fucking flapping around? See, Berlanga should be happy he got paid money to fight a fucking bum ass opponent, right? And get paid for that shit. He was moaning and groaning about it, but literally he got an opportunity to knock out a bum and get paid big money for it. And he said, I want to fight against, oh my God, you could have stopped that fight fucking after the first knockdown. But literally, he's crying because he didn't get a William Skull fight. Who was going to pay for fucking Berlanga versus William Skull? The only reason Skull versus Canelo is getting made is because Turki Al-Sheikh wants Canelo to be undisputed for Bud Crawford. Otherwise, nobody would be paying for that fight. You meant 154 guys. He got titties. Berlanga back to bum bashing. Yes, he is. Bum bashing. Usyk is good, but he's white, so I have Crawford number one. That's true. If that's how I base my pound for pound list, I also would put Bud Crawford number one because Usyk is white. And because of that, I can't really rate him over a brother. Because we know blacks are just better, and blacks are the most dominant race. So based on that alone, it's almost incumbent of me to put Crawford at number one and slide Usyk's ass down to fucking probably number 6 or 7. I can't stand Berlanga. It's ironic though, Berlanga's not black, but he's still seen as a villain. Imagine that. Imagine Berlanga seen as a villain. But he don't fit the fucking pigmentation fucking things for a villain, according to Dante's Boxing Nation, right? He's the opposite of villain. He should be a hero. I don't even think he's a hero in Puerto Rico, especially fighting dudes like this, who I think was a Puerto Rican. You know, at least I caught the big part of the show. I missed all the other fights, but I caught Berlanga knocking out a taxi driver. Congratulations. I can't believe Canelo went the distance with both Munguia and Berlanga. See, and that's part of the reason why he's number 7 on my list. Because in truth, I think his performances were good, solid, but not dominant. Not the kind of performance you'd expect from a pound for pound top 5 fighter. Is Cheeseburger Nation still making content? Oh yes, he is. He got to pay for those fucking lady boy fucking Thai fucking girls. If Canelo goes the distance with a skull, it's not a good look. Well, it's not a good look for Canelo because the haters are going to fucking use it as a way to continue to hate on him. Oh, there we go. Hyping up Rolly and Ryan. You know, this fight, both are villains. Haney versus fucking Ramirez. Haney is the villain. Fucking Lopez versus Barboza. Lopez is the villain. Like, I mean, Haney's the villain because look how he comes in with the black glasses, the black clothes. I mean, nobody would ever call Ramirez a villain. Ramirez, who fucking went to bat for farmers in Southern California, right? Not about himself, not egotistical and ego-driven, a guy that was part of the U.S. fucking Olympic boxing team. Like, he is anything but the villain. As far as Rolly and Ryan, they're both fucking villains. That's why people are excited about that fight. Someone is just excited to see one of those motherfuckers get knocked the fuck out. Skull is pretty survivalist, though. Oh, yes, he is. Herrera won today, but I said earlier, I think he's overrated. I didn't see the fight, but how did he win? Cheeseburger out there getting plowed in Pattaya by low-level ladyboys. Loud. It's that statement from fucking what do you call it? What's that movie? Vegas. And then they went to Thailand. I come in you, you come on the floor. Oh my God. When I fucking watched that movie and the lady boy said that, I fucking was just like, what the fuck? Oh my God. That was some crazy shit. No Diddy. Bumlanga opponents look like he lost half his body weight. He started boxing only to lose weight. Yeah, no, that dude looks like a pure bum. Let's listen to Berlanga because you know he's going to be fun to listen to.
Get that first round knockout streak going once again. How'd you feel about that performance?
The Hangover.
Amazing. First and foremost, I want to thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, because without him, I want to be here. I want to thank all the fans. Todo Puerto Rico está aquí conmigo. Tú sabes, más arriba, puñeta. Gracias Puerto Rico. Gracias a todo el mundo. And you know, I was supposed to do that tonight. You know, this is something else. I want a bigger fight in my career, in my future.
So you're supposed to do that tonight. This guy was coming off a long layoff prior to his last two fights. What was your mindset coming out in the first round?
Just be sharp. You know, he got nothing to lose. You know, Ken beating me, he has the world. So I know that, you know, boxing is not an easy sport, and especially when he's coming to fight me, you know. So I got to be alert, I got to be smart, and, you know, I went in there and handle business.
You feel like you were hurting him from the very first shot?
Yeah. I started seeing his eye, you know what I'm saying, get swollen and stuff. He was shaking it off, but I know it was hurting him.
This is a comeback
Really?
fight for you coming off that fight against Canelo Alvarez. But looking back now, do you wish you had someone maybe a little bit better in front of you, someone that could have tested you a little bit more?
You know, I take them as they come. You know, my team brought this guy to me, and we took it. You know, now I'm a free agent.
He's young though, 23.
No problems or anything swarming around on the internet with Eddie Hearn and I. You know, business is business at the end of the day. You know, he was a great promoter. You know, and I'm just looking forward to the future.
You came in a little bit overweight for this fight. Was that any kind of sign that maybe you should move up in weight, or do you feel like 168 is where you still belong?
Nah, man. Actually, a week before the fight, I caught a flu. I was very sick. You know, and my team was looking to call out the fight. You know, because for me being so sick, so my health is important. You know, and it wound up during the middle of the week. It started getting tough for me to make 168. You know, I felt like my body was breaking down, but I'm 168. You know, I'm looking to take over the division, and I'm looking to be king.
You are a free agent now, and certainly you're going to have a lot of options moving forward. What's at the top of your list? What do you want to do next?
You know who I want? You know my head list?
Jaime Munguia at the top of that?
Jaime Munguia, Jamal Charlo, Caleb Plant, and Canelo. Vamos a hacer la revancha. Vamos a hacer la revancha el 2026. Vamos arriba. Tú sabes que Puerto Rico, México es el mejor, oíste.
You surprised people, some people, with how you performed against Canelo. What do you take away from that experience? What do you learn from that you believe has made you a better fighter?
Oh, the experience was amazing. You know, I went from middle school straight to college, you know, and I did very well. I fought 12 rounds with him, hard, strong, you know, and we gave the fans a good fight. I think right now, besides him, you know, he has all the titles. I'm the king. Yo soy el rey, excepto 68.
How's it feel being back in Orlando?
Amazing.
I agree, David.
Puerto Rico. You see everybody here, man. All my Puerto Ricans, my black community too, you know, my Afro-Americans, man. I love you guys too, because you guys always supported me, you know what I'm saying, since day one. New York, I love you. Puerto Rico, Arriba, Florida, Orlando, I love you guys. And I want to give a big shout out, you know, to all the celebs that came out. Yandel, one of my big, I got a rum company now, Sonrisa Rum Company from Puerto Rico. I want to thank my team. I want to thank Yandel, Villa, Glacier, De La Ghetto, Lual, and the whole world. Thank you guys.
Congratulations, Eddie.
Thank you.
Eddie, we'll bring you.
Oh, fucking he's cringe. Oh, I got to listen to Eddie, though.
Going through those guys, you know, we know that it wasn't an ideal situation for everyone, but when you fight at that level, you show your level. And that's what he did it. And, you know, he has got devastating power in those hands. And I think although you probably won't see it, or people don't think you see it tonight, but the experience against Canelo Alvarez will make him such a better fighter. And he just steamrolled through Gonzalez. And he's ready for all those guys, you said. And I think the experiences of Canelo Alvarez will lead him to beat those guys. I like the Caleb Plant fight. I think that's a brilliant fight. You know, two guys that are going to really spice it up at a press conference. Two great fighters, two great 168 pounders.
That's true.
Fuck Plant. Fuck Plant. Fuck Plant. Fuck Plant.
You see you two working together in the future?
I'd love to. Listen, we've had a great run, close with Keith. And listen, this situation wasn't ideal, but we did what we promised in the contract. And maybe we could have all done better to get something else, but we got the fight done, we got the win, and he moves on. So for us, we'll see.
Caleb Plant fight for Berlanga is a good fight. Even Munguia, I mean, it would have been better if Munguia hadn't just got knocked the fuck out. Now it doesn't look nearly as fucking good. And Charlo, come on. I mean, if anyone should fight Charlo, it's Plant. That's a fight the PBC should make. That's a no-brainer. I mean, that is the kind of fight the PBC does make. Expect a doubleheader. If I was Al Heyman, this is what I would do. Caleb Plant, Charlo on the undercard of Spence Thurman. Pay-per-view. That shit will sell in America because these fucking American fans are mental cases. Two irrelevant fights, but at least everyone except Plant is irrelevant, so it makes sense. Berlanga is insufferable. Fuck, man. That guy is just not a likable fucking character. He is the villain. And I think he's always been the villain. Has there ever been fucking a fight where he wasn't seen as the villain? Can you imagine any fight moving forward where he's not the villain? He fights Caleb Plant, all of a sudden people are going to be fucking big Plant supporters and fucking hating on Berlanga. Against Munguia is a good kid, right? There's nothing bad you can say about Jaime Munguia. Berlanga is definitely the fucking villain in that fight too. Yeah, that's what I say. People would watch fucking Plant Charlo just because Charlo's a train wreck, right? Imagine him at the fucking press conference, fucking drunk, high, fucking mental, fucking Plant slapping him in the face again. And then Spence and fucking Thurman. Spence fucking hates Thurman. Thurman is also fucking insufferable, right? That's why Rolly Romero, Ryan Garcia is such a good fight, because these dudes are fucking insufferable. Their fighters easy to hate. And because they're easy to hate, people literally want to see them get knocked the fuck out. Canelo not knocking out Berlanga is a travesty. It's unfortunate, because if he would have knocked out fucking Berlanga, it would have quieted that guy quite a bit. But to be fair for the division, whether you like Berlanga or not, he's probably good to have in the division, right? Hamza Shiraz is moving up to 168. You got Munguia. You got fucking Plant. You got Berlanga, right? I don't know what's happening with Charlo, but let's throw him on the list just in case fucking rehab works out. You got Mbili, Pacheco, Iglesias, right? Right there, you got like serious 8 quality fighters. And that's not fucking talking about Canelo Alvarez. No Canelo on that list. This is just 8 really good fighters. Sajo, throw him as well. And then the other guy, obviously there's somebody I'm forgetting. But literally, it's easy to come up with a very, very good, solid top 10, 168-pound division where you could have any of these dudes fight each other. Crazy thing is Thurman might whoop Spence at this stage. I favor Thurman to beat Spence at this stage, right? For sure. But the reality is that fight fucking sells now, right? It's marketable. And you throw fucking Charlo and Plant on that card, shit. People love old names, even if they're no longer relevant. Because for casual fans, name recognition really is more important than anything else. For you and me, obviously, we watch the sport. We know which guys are irrelevant and just, well past their best. But at the same time, we also know they do have name recognition. That's why people love to dick ride all these fucking American-based fighters, because they fight people they're familiar with, because there is name recognition, right? They shit on all these Eastern European and Asian fighters because, unfortunately, their resumes don't have name recognition, because primarily most of these small weight cards or most of these big weight cards don't happen in North America. So you don't get to see the guys fight. So you don't hear about them. You don't see their press conferences. They don't speak English to begin with. So you just don't have the same level of name recognition for those opponents. That's why it wouldn't surprise me to see Crawford beat Canelo. Crazy thing is, like I said, I don't take away Crawford beating Canelo. My question is, does he still have the legs necessary to beat Canelo? And that's where I question, especially adding that extra weight. I'm not sure if that's going to be good for his legs. PBC is good at recycling these washed up fighters. That's what the PBC does, man. Recycle fucking washed up fighters. And to be fair, put it this way. So Spence Thurman fight, it's on pay-per-view. So we're going to say it doesn't deserve to be on pay-per-view, which is true. But because of the name recognition, it will go on pay-per-view. The winner of that fight versus Tim Tszyu. It's a quality fight. And then you have the winner of that face Funduro. This is all in-house PBC. This is what the PBC loves to do. The winner of that, they would say, is the best fighter at 154, even though it's this small group of in-house PBC fighters that aren't fighting anyone else. At that point, Virgil Ortiz easily would be probably recognized as the best fighter by beating legitimate fighters throughout the division, but they would try to act like somehow Tim Tszyu was the best. Even though you and I all know that it's complete bullshit, but these people are mental. Hollow says, new Bud image leak still up, Sean. He looks good. Really? I saw he looked chubby, fat. Looks like he's got a bit of a spare tire. But as I said, he's putting on weight, right? So that when he drops down and cuts weight for the fight, he'll be naturally bigger, as opposed to, doing it the wrong way. He's trying to put on that weight. He's probably lifting a lot, trying to put on weight naturally, moving up. We know you're going to look a little chubby when you just put on a bunch of weight. But once you cut down to 168 pounds, once again, you're going to be pretty chiseled. I saw where Thomas Matisse is fighting Raymond Ford on the Boot Stanionis undercard. That's a good fight. Ah, well. To be fair, for the two fights Raymond Ford's had at 130 pounds, neither are really the opponents we wanted to see him fight, right? How come he's not fighting Oshaki Foster, right? How come he's not fighting one of the other champions in the division, like a real legitimate fighter? Because right now, where is fucking Thomas Matisse in rankings of that division? On BoxRec, which obviously is not legitimate. I don't know how BoxRec has Rikishi, the number one fighter in the division. He's not a champion. Is he a champion? I don't think he's a champion. Navarrete at 2, Foster at 3, Cortez at 4, Badagayev, even though he looks susceptible, his chin was not looking good in his last fight. Ford, Hernandez, Valdez, Nunez, Hata, Japanese fighter. Right? Where is this fucking kid you just mentioned? Oh, Mauricio Lara is going to be suspended for like a year. That's disappointing. I would have loved to see him in some of these fights. Hayato Tsutsumi, number 28, and under him is Thomas Matisse. 22, 4-1, 34 years old. So you got a top 10 fighter facing a 34-year-old. Never been knocked out, so he's good, but literally coming off a loss in his last fight, right? Hernandez cannot continue, cut left eye, ruled from an accidental headbutt after round 6. They went to the cards. He was winning 58, 56, 59, 55, 58, 56. And so now he's going to fight Raymond Ford. I mean, it's an okay fight. I ain't going to hate on the fight. But you tell me this is the kind of fight you're excited about? Like, he lost to Nick Ball after getting a career best victory against Kolmatov, a guy who turned his back and lost the fight in the 12th round with not much time left in the clock for turning his back and was fucking basically disqualified. Same thing Tank Davis did, right? But Tank Davis didn't have the same response happen to him as Kolmatov. Then he moved up, got beat by Nick Ball in a competitive fight, right? I felt Nick Ball won. Then fought Orlando Gonzalez. And you could say, okay, it's his first fight in a new weight division. But now Thomas Matisse. I mean, he's not fighting legitimate opposition in that division, right? Like, literally. Matisse is dangerous. He's just a slow starter. Yeah, Albert, how did he look? We were using him to shit on Lamont Peterson. He looked great. Like, offensively, he is one of the most dynamic fighters, at 130 pounds and has legitimate power, long arms, very good fighter. The problem is, it looks like his chin is real susceptible because he got hurt serious against fucking that guy. And I think the guy he's fighting is, excuse me, a good puncher. But Jesus Christ, the same thing I said about Devin Haney not being able to take away the left hand. He wasn't able to take away the right hand and consistently still got hit by that right hand. 26 years old, 12-8, right? Just beat that guy, Romero. And Romero, obviously, going into that fight was 18-0, undefeated, 10 knockouts. But man, yeah, where is it here? Batigarev was down at 41 and 108, 109 of round 3. Romero went down in round 4. Batigarev had 1 point deducted in round 4 for punching when Romero was on the floor. So when he dropped him, he ran over and then punched him on the ground. And then ended up scoring a knockdown later on in that fight to sort of earn back his point. Ended up winning the fight. But, with all the good things, you should definitely go watch the fight. You guys follow what's his face? Batman Boxing, because he will have all the fights there, so you can go check them out. You can also probably find it on YouTube. I watch it on YouTube, but the problem is it's Russian. But actually, it's on. Yeah, you could probably find it. Go to YouTube and look at IBA Boxing. I'm pretty sure it's fucking there. For IBA Boxing. Let me just check now. I won't show the fight, but maybe I can show the fight. IBA Boxing. Yeah. Are you just showing me like a short clip? Oh, there you go. Share screen. Yeah. So there we go. You can see there, Albert Batigaev versus Neri Romero, March 7th, 2025, and it's IBA Boxing. And it's the whole fight, so you can go there, watch it. Great fucking, high definition. It's a good chance to watch it. I'm probably going to watch the fight again today. Obviously, I like Batigaev, gold medal winning Olympian, obviously WBA regular champion in line for a fight with Lamont Roach for the super title. David Esther, you are the most annoying prick on this live. This is not the David show. Oh my God. John Boxing, calm down. He's far from the most annoying prick. Mirage was here earlier, and he is definitely the most annoying prick. Sorry, I actually follow boxing, unlike you. Joyce Hergovich fight next. 2 giant robots. Should be entertaining. That's a fucking great matchup, right? Joyce Hergovich. Didn't they fight in the amateurs? Because if they did, that just makes that fight even more interesting. I bet you 500 Sergio stops Taraji. Oh my God. Fucking Sergio who? Sergio who? You're talking about some fighter nobody's ever heard of before. Fucking Sergio Mendoza. We'll scram down to light fucking flyweight. Where's Sergio Mendoza? Where's this fucking guy? Where is he? Where is he? Oh, sorry. Not light flyweight now. Flyweight. I forgot. He moved to his new division. So Ken Shiro, we keep scrolling. Fucking Sergio Mendoza, Cordova, 24 years old, 25-0. suspended by the Commission of Boxo Estrado de Scenario because he got his ass beat up in his last victory. 25-0 with 22 KOs. He just fought a guy named Edison Martinez who was 12-4-3. Prior to that, he faced Angel Serrano's sister, who was 32-1-2. Beat her. That's a pretty good victory for him. And outside of her, he hasn't fought anybody with a positive real record. You know, come on, man. Like, I ain't hating on the kid, but let's be honest. Let's let the kid fucking actually beat somebody before we start hyping his ass up. Because I don't think that kid would beat Surayuri Akui, who fucking just made literally fight of the year versus Kenshiro. If you guys didn't see that fight, you should totally watch it. It is easily the best fight of 2025. More annoying, Sean, Dale Bailey or Mirage? Dale Bailey is more fucking annoying because it's this southern fucking white guy who fucking literally dick rides the LDBC, who fucking disdain him. Like, just based on the color of his skin, they fucking disdain him and have no respect for him. But yet he will fucking cap for them and be fucking totally unreasonable all the time. It's amazing that he's not fucking constantly on the channel anymore. And now we got Mirage. I don't know how I was lucky enough to get him on my channel because I see him fucking annoying every other channel on YouTube. So today was my chance. Oh, hooray for me. Hooray, hooray. I'm so lucky. But Mexican boxing number one. Did you watch the Taraji Akui fight? Because if you didn't, you should treat yourself to a fucking great Mexican fucking dust-off. Like, I know you're pro-Mexican, but you can't watch that fight and not fucking walk away being fucking super entertained and have respect for both of those fighters because they fought fucking like true Mexican warriors. It was a great fight. Easily the best fight of 2025. The stoppage, maybe you can say it was too quick. I thought it was too quick, but after the stoppage, Akui fucking just melted onto the floor. So based on the way I saw his response, maybe the ref did see his eyes and did have a really good perspective because he definitely looked like he was fucking done, empty, and that Kenshiro Taraji was going to fucking hurt him if they continued fighting moving forward. But those are definitely two fights you should see. If you haven't seen any, I tell you, people, go watch the Taraji fight versus Akui. Two champions, unification fight. What a fucking war. What a war. And you can say Taraji's got no defense. He gets hit by too many right hands. I agree. He wasn't like that before, but now that he's getting older, he's becoming much more of a go in and try to knock you out type of guy. Whereas before he was much more of a boxer behind a jab, moved a lot more, and was much more of a technical fighter. Now he's becoming much more of a enamored with his power type of fighter. And as far as Batigayev versus Romero, it's also a great fight. A great fight. You can watch Romero and see that he's dangerous. And then when he's not hurting Batigayev is battering him with great combination punching, a fucking great jab. Like, literally, it's beautiful, beautiful boxing. Mirage and John Boxing and Sean up there, they think they know boxing more than anybody when they don't. Tank Davis has a brother that fights, doesn't he? He looks pretty good. I'm not sure. Everybody got a brother, right? Whether they fight, they look good. I'm not sure about that. But yeah, you can definitely test out this. I will play more, Billy. But let's just throw a quick clip. At this point, end of the fight, 12th round. Batigayev doesn't have much left. His punch is becoming a little loopy. He's not keeping tight. Still very good with his jab. I think he needs to fight with more of a high guard, right? His arms are long. He can protect his body, keep his hands up high. And I think he could still fight the style he fights, but defensively not get hit nearly as much as he's getting hit now. And Ken Shiro probably could do something similar because he gets hit a lot more with his right hand. But this fight was also a banger. Both guys fucking bringing it. Badagayev looked like he had Romero out of there on a few occasions, but Romero's a tough motherfucking Argentinian, just refused to go. Look at him. The guy's in shape, man. He's like fucking put together like a brick shithouse. But yeah. Both bums. Sugar Nunez stops them both. Oh, come on, man. Give me a break. Sugar Nunez. David, you like verbal diarrhea. You don't stop talking ish. Sean, what did you make of Keith Thurman's comeback fight? He's fighting a bum. It's not a surprise he won. Everyone knew he was going to win that fight. Mexican boxing. What's up? I like my Mexican fighters. I'm just not that high on Rocky Hernandez. He did look good the other night, though. I mean, nobody on this channel really is haters towards Mexican boxers. But Mexican boxing, I just told you, go watch fucking that fight. You didn't even respond. Did you watch the fight or didn't you watch the fight? And also, with this comment about Nunez, come on. Like, Nunez got to do something in the division. Stop fucking capping for a guy who's not doing anything. When we look at my man, Badagayev, he's doing what he should be doing. Just like Ken Shiro. Kenshiro Taraji, 25-1, 16 KOs. I mean, let's think of what champions he's beaten. Akui, Rosales, Canzanales, Butler, Olisgagu, Kayaguchi, Yabuka. Literally, that's his last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 fights. That's the level of competition he's been facing. Champion after champion after champion after champion. If you want to be a real boxing fan, instead of just pushing narratives, we can actually talk about the sport. I'd respect boxing, Mexican boxing number one, if actually he wouldn't just come on the channel and dick ride Mexican fighters and actually would talk about boxing as a whole. Because all he does is shit on non-Mexican fighters and dick ride Mexican fighters. He just sounds like fucking the LDBC to me. Sorry. That's all he sounds like. And then Mirage comes here and all he does is shit on Canelo Alvarez and dick ride David Benavidez. Sounds like the LDBC to me. Well, I'm getting ready to fight a Japanese guy who is pretty good. Nunez is. Who's he fighting? What Japanese fighter is he fighting that's pretty good? I know, what's his face? John Boxing's favorite fighter, the Tim, is going to fight fucking old-ass Japanese fighter. Oh, no, sorry, it's not. It's True School Sportsman. His fighter is going to fight old-ass fucking Japanese fighter who hasn't been relevant in fucking a million years. And I'm supposed to be impressed and think that somehow this guy is the best fighter in the division. It's like, stop. How can he be the best fighter in the division when he's fighting fucking literally nobody's? Who's he fighting? Where is he? Is he fighting fucking Ball, Espinoza, Fulton, Neary, Figueroa, Trinidad, Ramirez? No. Is he fighting fucking Bruce Carrington, Micro Coelho? No. Who's he fighting? I keep scrolling down. There he is at number 20. 33-year-old Japanese fighter, Kamoki Kameda, 42-4, 23 KOs. Never been stopped, so you got to give him praise for that. His last loss came to Lirato Damini back in 2023. Split decision. Popped back, beat Kevin Villanueva, beat Diamani in a fucking split decision rematch. And now he's getting a big fight. Yet this is a guy who lost to Ray Vargas, lost to Jamie McDonald, right? Like every time he steps up, he ends up losing. Competitive fights, but I mean, that's the best opponent available? Really? Okay. I can't think of his name, but it's not the same guy they have on BoxRec. Espinoza will be the co-main for Inui's card in Vegas. I saw that. That's good. Since it's going to be like the Friday, I think, of the Mexican holiday, Espinoza is fighting Edward Vasquez. That's an okay fight. The good thing is Espinoza is such a fun fighter. It don't matter who he fights. You just throw him in with a good opponent, right? And it should be fun. Ammo Williams fight my Canadian fighter, Volney. Let's see. So who are we talking about? We're talking about 130 pounds. Japanese fighter. I know what Japanese fighter I would like to see him fight. Fucking Hirato Tsutsumi, but I know he's not fighting him. And if he is, fuck, man, I'll be super excited. Because at number 28, you got Tsutsumi, 6-0 with 3 knockouts. Great amateur. His brother looks like a fucking monster. Really good fighter. I would like to see Nunez fight him. Or you got underneath of him some 25-year-old guy with 2 losses, who mostly is a domestic Japanese fighter, and the guy that beat him. Neither of whom look like they have a fight scheduled anytime soon. I don't know. What Japanese fighter is he facing? There's nobody that's relevant except for Tsutsumi. Come on, David. Educate me. Who? Who is it going to be? The good thing I hear about the Inui card is that it's almost sold out. That's good news. I hope they do a big venue and get it sold out. I know that the fight with him and Casemiro was apparently going to do real big numbers before it got canceled because of COVID. What's the event so far on this? Okay, so far they only got the 2 cards listed. Top Rank just continues to put out good card after good card. T-Mobile Arena, Inui versus Raymond Cardenas for IBF, WBC, and WBO. So that means the WBA is stripping Inui. Man, WBA, they should be fucking executed. Hung and fucking tarred and feathered. Espinoza, 26-0, fighting Edward Vasquez, 17-2. Vasquez never been knocked out, 29 years old. Last loss was to Joe Cordina by majority decision. Not bad. Bounced back with 2 victories against mediocre opposition. Faced Raymond Ford back in the day. Lost a split decision to him. Yeah, if you look at that, it's a pretty good opponent. Both times he stepped up, he lost, but both super competitive. Majority decision, split decision against world champions. Obviously, I think Espinoza is better than those 2 fighters, but we will see. Does this mean they want Espinoza to fight Inui? That's not a fight I want to see. It's just going to be too ridiculous to see Inui try to fight a guy who's like 6'1", 6'2". But crazier things happen in the sport of boxing. But thanks everyone for jumping in. I know it's getting late where you are or early. So I will see you guys next time. Thanks for jumping in. I'm going to sit back and watch the end of this Ammo Williams-Volney fight. And then probably go back and watch that Batagaya fight, or maybe go back and watch that fight of the year fight between Kenshiro Taraji and Akui, which I tell you, go check it out. Why are the WBA stripping Inui? Well, stripping him because of MJ Akhmedov, right? Even though that fight looks like it's solidified for September. So I don't know what they're going to do there. Man, MJ hasn't beaten anyone to earn a title. I know. And if you're going to fight the guy in September, why would you strip him right now? It just is one of those things that we mentioned earlier, why we fucking hate the sanctioning bodies. Because all they do is fuck up the sport of boxing. I agree that we don't want people holding up the belts and not fighting the best people available. But at the same time, that doesn't mean you sit around and wait. Fucking fight someone. Make fights. That's why we say we want David Benavidez to face fucking Smith on the undercard of Bivol Beterbiev. We're not taking money out of his pocket. We're literally putting him in a position where he's going to get paid more money than he's ever been paid before on an undercard fight to hype up and build up the biggest fight of his career, a legacy fight, right? That's what I say. Do that. Everyone wins. You, me, the fans win. The boxers win. And everybody wins, as opposed to sanctioning body fuckery. But, you know, it is what it is. Thanks, everyone, for watching. See you next time. Peace out. Remember to like, subscribe, and share. And I will see you later on this week.